you ready, little monkey butt? Are you the type of dog who's just born ready? The scratchy patchy little scratchy, huh? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston. We have a problem. The problems keep continuing. There's no shortage of problems. The market continues to dump. Today was one of those like, oh no, all over again. Things that happened today. Trump said he's going to impose new tariffs on Canada, and then he's like, no, I'm not going to do that, because they reached some sort of agreement with Ontario about energy and whatever. And then all of a sudden, after that agreement came through, Trump's like, I'm still putting tariffs on metals from Canada. So Canadian metal, aluminum, steel, whatever, that is still in the doom department. Same time, Ukraine signed a ceasefire deal is now going to the Russians. Let's see if they agree on that. It is basically so that if Ukraine agrees to ceasefire, they get a whole bunch of weapons to battle the Russians when the ceasefire is over with. And they get access to U.S. intelligence again. It's basically held them hostage for what? And then Elon and Trump had a QVC as seen on TV infomercial in the driveway of the White House with all the Tesla vehicles, where Trump had to be reminded what the cars are by their color and how much they cost, which is $100,000, $100,000, $100,000, $100,000, $35,000. Yeah, it's so silly. Everything is so silly, monkey. It's so silly. But you know what? The betting on the collapse of the market game continues at another 80% day today. So it's going to keep going. If I keep this up next week, I might cross $1 million. We'll see. We'll see. The Republicans claim that they have enough votes now to pass the spending bill, the stopgap spending bill in the House. There were two. There's Massey and one other guy who are like, I'm not doing it. Basically over the Medicaid cuts. So I wonder if Republicans finally were like, fine, we'll fund Medicaid and Medicare. So then it's got to go to the Senate. They have until Friday to get this deal done, because if they don't get it done by Friday, the government goes into shutdown. And so depending on Friday, I may take all my gains for the week and just split it. Calls, puts, Friday afternoon, and if they reach a spending agreement, the market will fly, and if they don't, the market will collapse. Either way, I will have more money than I started with on Friday. So that's kind of my plan there. Anything else to add, monkey butt? No? Okay. All right. She seems pretty kosher. So let's blow up the earth. Ooh, why are you doing that? Off. This button is in the... I feel like a Seinfeld episode. This button is in the wrong spot. It is too low. I need a button right about there. That's where the Houston Happy button is. This is... I should just have chest hair and a gold chain. I don't... Stay. Okay. Just Miami. Puts. Everybody buy puts. Seriously, if you start off with $2,000 today, right? Start off with $2,000 and you play to... You buy daily SPY puts and you play till you get about 80-100% gains each one of these days. In 10-12 days, you'll be over $1 million. It's... Because it's every day, it's like, okay. And so you just play that. Like if I had bought calls today, oh my goodness. So my plan was puts, ride the puts down. I basically rode them down until about, what time would that be? Like 1:30 Eastern time. And then I just sold because I had to drive my roommate and the kitten a long ways to go to the vet where she can get her stitches out and then come back. And I wasn't gonna be able to look at my phone. So I was like, I'm up, sell. if I just waited a few minutes, I would have been up like 200% or more. But I'm glad I sold when I did, because by the time I got to the vet clinic, the market had rebounded and the SPY had flown up $10. And so in my brain, I was like, I should buy calls. I think it was this one of those days where it's going to bounce and I'll finish out fine. And I didn't. So I missed that opportunity. But I mean, if you're playing for it to bounce up and down for the next 2 months, which is a lot of it is going to be doing, you might be able to put call, and just compound. So my game plan is probably starting Thursday, maybe Friday, depending on how much cash I have. I'm going to take half of my winnings so far on my option, my betting against the market options play, and take half of that and put that into long, out of the money puts. Like thinking like for May or June, SPY 450s, things like that. A whole bunch of them. And just anytime I get a win, take half of that, throw it into those longs, because they're cheap, they're plentiful. The market's going to shit the bed and probably go past 450 and go further. So those things will end up making a great deal of money. And in the meantime, play those dailies. Just stare at the phone for 8 hours in a row, watching that little green and red lines, and play from there. So I am not going to count on anyone at GameStop or AMC or whatever to make me a gajillionaire. I am just going to do it myself by staring at stupid little lines on my phone for hours at a time, and in between watching cat videos or something. And that's basically what I'm doing. So, monkey butt? Yeah. She sleeps in. She's asleep the entire time. She's fine. Okay. Bill Coin, Armageddon, Joyride to Hell. Fred Jones, third. Moving up in the world. Wheat Wild, fifth with puts. You're fourth. You're okay. Eamon, first to say first, all the way from Hawaii. Not your friend, also from Hawaii. Wheat Wild, but calls on a second intro. No second intro. You're not going to win this one. Okay. Tony, Houston, tried to walk the line like an Egyptian, and now I need to see a chiropractor. Okay. The Belgian Whale. Hey, the Belgian Whale's here. Good night. I'm going to sleep. Sorry about... Bye, Belgian Whale. Casey Chapman. Honestly, these last couple of weeks had been a day trader's dream, just taking every buy-sell signal. Yep. That volatility, man, it will do wonders for your soul. Just from DAX. You see the BBBY bonds exploding. Same thing I think happened with Hertz before its reemergence. Yes, BBBY bonds are up 700%, something like that. So before Hertz reemerged, someone went out in the bond market and was buying up bonds like crazy because they knew that there was going to be 100% return on them. So they're buying, and eventually there was 100%. What was on paper was what they ended up getting paid out. This time around, I think there will be a cash component, but I think the majority of it is going to be equity. With Hertz, they had a whole bunch of capital in cars everywhere, and those are worth money, hard-earned cash, right? And so I think the speculation that these bonds are flying the way they are is because somebody in the know is buying them up, knowing that you spend $5 for a bond, you're going to get $1,000 back type thing. So why not, right? Why not, monkey? Why not? I'm asking you. You're not answering me, you sleepy little dog. Anonymoth super chats. How well do SPY contracts move better than assets? I mean, the SPY has daily call options, so you can day trade call options day of. They have 0-day expiration, and you can do that every single day. That's basically what I've been doing. Yesterday, I bought my puts for today, and if I had actually purchased them in the morning, I probably could have gotten a few more of them because they were a little bit cheaper this morning. I did not buy today for tomorrow, although I probably should have. And you can get dinged as a day trader. So if you do that too many times, buy and sell on the same day. So it can save you being dinged as a day trader if your account is not at 25,000 or more, by buying the day before. So you'll rather than getting like 120% returns, you get your 80% return. Okay. But that's basically how I've been doing it. So yeah, it moves pretty easy. I'm not dealing in numbers yet of like 1,000 contracts. They're like, 6 here, 10 there, so on. Last week when I made 25K and I lost 25K, I was at 60 contracts. And I was like, yes, tomorrow I'll be at 100 something. And then hello, vet. Oh shit. Danny Batchelor, Houston. Is there still a magic number of Tesla stock that hoses Elon on the Twitter financing? I thought it couldn't go below a value or loses a lot of stock. His original financing deal was one tied to Tesla stock. The second financing deal, which became the finalized one, he leveraged Twitter itself. So he did a leverage buyout of Twitter. He said, Twitter's worth this much. I'm going to borrow this much against it and buy it, just like you would a house, right? And that's so. The Twitter deal is not tied to Tesla stock anymore, which is a bummer. But he still has a bunch of cash he's borrowed from his Tesla stock, because that's how he pays for his lifestyle. And he'll tell you like, oh, I live in a 500 square foot shipping container, and he still flies private jets and has 100 people on a security team and pays women to have his babies, and he still has expenses out there. So don't let him pretend like he's just sleeping on a cot somewhere. Brandon Wells, up. Did you hear that BBBY is given 5 years to pay back taxes? Oh, really? Interesting. Wheat Wild Houston, what was so significant about the baseball game from 1985 that dragged on for 18 innings till 3 a.m.? I've been at games that long. I was at one at Safeco. I think, was it one with a Mike Cameron home run? It was like 3 a.m. Like we had to wait till the next day, basically, till the morning till we catch a ferry boat home. That was a long ass game. There has been a couple of games that are bonkers. There was a minor league game back in the early 80s. I think Cal Ripken was still with the Orioles affiliate. I was Scranton Red Wings or whatever they're called, and it went for like 32 innings. Basically, they played, and they're like, we can't play anymore. So they put a pin in it, and then when the teams met again a couple months later, they finished their original game, which took another like 15 innings or something. Until they finally like someone scored and like, we're done with that game, and then they started their actual scheduled game for the series. But yeah, I'll have to look up 1985 18 inning game, Rick Camp game. Oh, was this the pitcher? That's right. It was Rick Camp, who had never hit a home run his entire life. Hit a home run, game-winning home run for it. That was that one, right? No, it was Mitch Williams. Mitch Williams who had the walk-off base. I knew it was a pitcher in that one. That's right. And he had like a terrible batting average. He'd had like a .06 batting average or something. Yeah, that's what that one was. Okay. Yeah, one for the Atlanta Braves. Off of Hall of Famer Trevor Hoffman. So, okay. All right, we wild. Colin, apparently attacks against Teslas are now terrorism? Can't even make this shit up. Yep. It's illegal to protest Tesla, according to Trump's True Social post. If you boycott Tesla, that's illegal. You can't do that. Everyone must do their American duty. Go out, spend $100,000 and buy a Tesla. That's the only way to show your patriotism is if every American goes out and spends $100,000 on a Tesla right now. So make sure you go do that. Don't hold back. Just buy like 3 of them, you know? Be patriot. Maybe 4. You need to get each model, so get 4. 5. There are 5 models now? There's Cybertruck, S3XY. Yeah. So there's 5 of them. So you have to spend $435,000 and go buy each and every model of Tesla to show your love of country. So what are you waiting for? Why are you watching me right now? Go to your local Tesla dealership, wade through the crowds and dodge the Molotov cocktails, and put a down payment on 5 Teslas today. Monkey's all about it. Citizen 54, Houston. Who do you want in the 2028 election? I really don't see mass appeal for potential candidates. I would like Rico from Texas, Kelly from Arizona, AOC would be good, but has no mass appeal. I already think that Walz is throwing his hat in the ring for 2028. Here's the thing, is that I don't think there's going to be an election in 2028. There might not even be midterms at this point. So when we can hope to see who we want in there, but Trump Putin, yeah, I don't think it's going to allow a free and fair election. He's going to somehow win the next election like 97-3. And he'll be like, they love me so much. No one hates me. I'm the most loved person ever. No one's seen love like this before. And I think that's how 2028 is going to go. He's going to be at 3rd term because he wants to be a dictator. So, Snort Alert. Oi, Houston, what the hell is going on? You tell me, man. We're just a society just being yo-yoed by Trump at this point. Tariffs yes, tariff no, tariff yes, tariff no, tariff yes. The market's like, and it's going to keep going and going and going and going. Legacy 10 Productions, Houston. Can you explain to us again the basics of what a market crash would do for GME? Do you think we are closer to MOAS than we ever have been after 4 years? As far as the second part of the question, we are not closer to MOAS than we've ever been in the last 4 years. That would have been last summer. We would have had a complete meltdown of the options chain, forcing the purchase of tens of millions or hundreds of millions of shares, and that got murdered by dilution. So the price is getting to the point where it's going to cause margin calls, and people are going to get liquidated. And RC saved them by selling shares into the market. And that staved off MOAS. MOAS would have happened last May and again in June had RC never done that. That being said, the potentiality for margin calls to happen right now is really, 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 really big. Blue chips are crashing. The SPY is crashing, the Dow is crashing, the NASDAQ is crashing. Matter of fact, the NASDAQ has eliminated high frequency trading. You aren't going to be able to high frequency trade NASDAQ stocks anymore because a lot of crimes are going on with that, and some people are attributing it to the subpoena the NASDAQ received from MMAT in their bankruptcy. But who knows if that's an actual correlation or not. But these blue chips are dropping in value. They are the foundation for which the collateral is built to make these huge margin plays. Remember, family funds and hedge funds can borrow 30 to 1. So if you have $1 billion in assets, you can borrow $30 billion to make a play. If that 30 to 1 gets out of line, becomes a 40 to 1 or whatever, or you were at 30 to 1 and the asset you had at $1 billion now worth 500 million, you're at 60 to 1 now, and they're going to margin call you, liquidate, close positions. And so that is the big potential right now. We have to look at where prices were for some of these blue chips when they started making these plays. Because remember, 2 years ago, the SPY was at 350, right? So we're still $200 above where it was just 2 years ago. So there's a lot of room to fall for that. What it will come down to is how many plays have they made since then at these levels, and if that can chain reaction and cause them to have to do margin calls, then things will get spicy. Because all those shorted shares for all those different companies that have been shorted, you're going to see forced buying go into that to close those positions, and that's just going to cause the folks whose assets are doing all right to suddenly have their margin explode because the liabilities explode of all those shorted shares that they took out. So just do this. Play your SPY puts and Tesla puts and Microsoft puts and Meta puts and MicroStrategy puts and all the puts. We basically, I guess, staved off a margin call MicroStrategy. Apparently, if Bitcoin drops below 77,000 and it bounced off 78,000 last night into today, if it falls below 77,000, MicroStrategy gets margin called on loans it took out to buy Bitcoin, and they lose 35% of the ETF's value instantly. So keep your eye peeled on if and when Bitcoin drops below 77,000. So keep your eye on that. Copy and paste. Who's beating who off? Can't find my glasses. Just doing the Trump dance. Just beating off two NBA centers while you're dancing. That's how he dances. He's like, "Woo! We're dancing. Have a good time. We're just yanking two dudes." Colin. Oops, did that one. Sorry. Avocados. Hey, nerds. Not sure how long I will get to hang out. Just saying, hola. Chicken enchiladas for dinner tonight. Got to start soon. Can't wait till MOAS and I can hire a personal chef. I don't know if I ever get rich enough I'll have a personal chef. I'll probably just go out to eat a lot more. I feel like I'd be wasting a personal chef's time. Like, they should be cooking food for like dozens or hundreds of people a night, and here they are just making me macaroni and cheese and hot dogs yet again. So I don't know. Maybe have a caterer every once in a while. Friday night, someone could cater me a dinner, something like that. I don't know. But I will probably just, because I'm a social dude. I like going to restaurants. I like going to pubs. I like sitting around chit-chatting and seeing all my neighbors. And so I'll probably just do that a lot. And or go to like the local beer garden where Monkey Butt can come along and then order takeout. Because then I get to hang out with the dog and she gets to see other dogs. And then I get to high-five friends. And that's how I'll probably do it. And then if I do cook for myself, it's just gonna be like grilling up an A5 Wagyu, which I had Wagyu last night. Got a screaming deal on a strip steak, and it was delicious. It was very good. I still need to have like fancy Wagyu, like real fancy Wagyu of a really good cut, but it was tasty. Big Z Zerp. Hey, Houston. I told the Jubilee channel that you should be up next for 1 versus 20 Trump supporters. Oh, that would be delicious. I would be definitely different than a lot of the other guys that pop up on Jubilee because I wouldn't be nice. Like, Sam Sater was so patient, and I would just... Like, here's the thing about the dudes, especially the dudes who popped up on that Jubilee, was that all, like we talked about this yesterday, all of them were deeply in the closet. Like, it would be so hard for me to not be mean. Just be like, dude, live your truth. Live your truth. The anger you feel right now is because inside there's a conflict. I am a raging homosexual who gets turned on by men. But my friends and family cannot accept that, so I must repress who I am. And that manifests itself into this toxic bile that comes out as bigotry and hatred. And that'd basically be what I would do on Jubilee to like every single one of those people. Like that blonde chick who was all about the Christian nationalism. And Sam Sater was like, well, I understand that's how you feel. And you won the election. So, I'd be like, well, you're a Nazi. You are a proud Aryan white supremacist Nazi. Like, she's talking to Sam Sater about how we have these like Eurocentric Christian values, and one missed opportunity for Sam Sater is, well, if that's the case, then why, if you go to actual Europe, do they have nationalized healthcare and trains and worker rights and unionization and a higher standard of living and quality of life? Like, if we are based upon those Christian European values, then why aren't we actually embracing them? Wild sent me a video just before the show, which kind of paints a picture as to why that is. And it was about this guy's talking about European doing business with different countries and talking about like doing business with America, and how, you know, the Europeans think if you're doing some sort of business deal, you're fostering a relationship that should last years and years and years. So you're going to, you know, try to make the other party as comfortable as possible because you want this to be a long-lasting thing. And then Americans come in and they just demand concessions, and they cut and they cut and they cut and they cut and they cut. And the Europeans are like, yes, we will give you this because, you know, yes, we will give you, we will lose money on this transaction if it means we have you as a business partner for the future. And then they just never see the Americans again. Once that contract is signed, the Americans are like, peace off, loser. And they're out. And so the Europeans are figuring out that, like, oh, we should treat the Americans like we're never going to see them again. So fuck these guys. But at the root of those business transactions came not necessarily the Christian European model, although it was Christian Europeans who settled in America, but much more of a straight, brazen American colonial model, which is what's yours is now mine. Fuck you. Manifest destiny. Let's go steal some people from halfway across the world. Who cares? Only half of them live on the voyage across the Atlantic. Then we're going to sell them into slavery, where they will then breed more people to, you know. And it is cutthroat. The humanity is removed from all transactions in American business. And when you find somebody who does have the humanity there, we're like, oh wow, what a special person, right? They're actually altruistic. That's just incredible. And it becomes sort of like a freak show. But everyone else, you know, I don't care if you're peeing in bottles. Make sure that thing from the warehouse shelf gets over there in the next 10 seconds, or else I'm going to ding you, right? That is very much how it seems to run here. And, you know, you work your 60, 80, 100 hours a week for less pay than you should, with no vacation time, and you die of a massive coronary before your retirement, and we're like, that guy had the grind set down. Meanwhile, the richie of the rich, they're on their yachts, they're playing with their supermodels, they're driving their cars to private racetracks, right? They're flying their private jets around the world and flirting with all their mistresses, and then their kids are little assholes at $100,000 a year prep schools. And then they paint this picture that if you are lower class, you are lower, like financially, not like lower class, like, oh gosh, that you are somehow a lazy freeloader working 3 jobs and you aren't able to pay your rent, right? But really, the lazy freeloaders are the people at the top, in the yachts, in the private jets. They're not doing shit. Their money's working for them. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be in a position to be able to have that happen. But to then say that me doing nothing at all, sitting on a yacht, sipping drinks and playing with supermodels, that I worked hard to get there. No. I figured out a way to beat the system. That's it. The people who are working hard is the single mom working 3 jobs, trying to keep their family life together. That's somebody who's working hard. There isn't a billionaire alive who works as hard as a single mom. There just isn't. Bill Gates didn't do it. Jeff Bezos didn't do it. Zuckerberg didn't do it. The Waltons didn't do it. Elon Musk hasn't done it. Mark Cuban. No, there's not a single billionaire alive who's worked as hard as a single mom. And to say that all I have to do is work hard, that's bullshit. All I have to do is figure out a loophole and exploit the system. And that's how you become a billionaire if you weren't already born into it. So it's yeah. So Yeah. Just Mammy super chats. Elon appeals to restore his $56 billion compensation from Tesla. Explains today's show. I wonder who handles appeals from what's the name of the court in Delaware? Crap. Who handles that appeal? What's the name of that? The starts with a C. Chancery Court. Thank you. Chancery. Chancery. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Chancery Court, Delaware Appeals. Who handles that? Appeals for Chancery Court handles equity-based, blah, 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 blah. So they're appealed to the Delaware Supreme Court. So it's going to be going to the Delaware Supreme Court. I wonder who sits on the Delaware Supreme Court and if any of those guys are elected or not. And if they're elected, how much of their campaign money came from Elon Musk? Because basically Elon's like lost twice at Chancery Court. They're like, no, this is too much. You did not do $56 billion in work. Your targets for earning this were made up, and no, you didn't earn it. And basically lost twice now. So now he's appealing to the Delaware Supreme Court. Should be interesting to see where that goes. If I were Delaware Supreme Court, I'd be like, I reject your appeal and I sentence you to death. Can they do that in appeal? Corporate Walnut, there's something going on with your sub and our deep F value getting flooded with political posts. It came out of nowhere with your sub, right? It happened back in like September. And that's when it's completely drowned. I have to think Iggy went through literally like 105,000 flagged comments and posts. It was like there's 25 per page, and there was like 4,000 pages of those. And he went through, holy shit, Iggy. Like, and a lot of people were like, how come you deleted this? And if they complained and I looked at it, I was like, sometimes you made some mistakes. So I tried to fix it. But we've been trying to limit people to 2 posts a day maximum. So if you post 3, you're gonna get in trouble. We have gotten talked to by Reddit that people have spammed our subreddit, especially when in October, November, when we were #1 on Reddit for like the highest traffic subreddit, which is bonkers because there's 211 of you here, but we were getting like 1.8 to 2.5 million visits a day in the subreddit, and that was nuts. That was absolutely nuts. So I'm glad that I slowed that down because it was eating away at my life. I'm glad I can like visit the subreddit now, do a couple of things, and then leave and not have to spend all day nuking bots. We just man, it sucked. Okay. Where am I? We did. Oh, Avocados 1,300 fired at Department of Education. Have to leave by 6 p.m. Cannot return tomorrow. FU Elon. Another 4,400 are slated to be laid off next week. And then they're trying to close the entire Department of Education. So I guess you close the Department of Education, no one pays off their student loans. Because, hey, everybody who at Department of Education, on your way out, hit the delete button for everyone's student loans. Someone is there because you're getting fired. You're getting laid off next week. You know it's going to happen. So just hit the button that deletes, and then, I don't know, throw some magnets on the servers or something. So that those little Doge assholes can't be like, I found it and I'm going to restore it. Just do it. Just get rid of those student loans. Do what Biden didn't have the balls to do. See, if Trump wanted to cancel student loans, he'd try to cancel student loans, he'd get sued, and then some corrupt court would be like, you can't cancel student loans. And then Trump would just cancel them anyway. And the court would be like, harumph, and then wouldn't do anything about it. Like, Biden probably should have had a little more of that bully mentality. We need a Democrat who's a bully, I think. who just doesn't take shit from anybody. That just needs to be the leader of the party who can just steamroll everyone in their way until they toe the line, and then just fix shit, and then they'd be like, I'm done. So we need that. We need that Roosevelt in our lives. Alex Bishop. Hello, everyone. Hi, Alex Bishop. The filthiness. Houston. Where did you hear the other day that the U.S. is sharing intelligence with Russia? That came from several open source intelligence folks. So the Maxar satellites, or these high definition satellites that you need special permission to have access to, such as national security, etc. We gave access to the Ukrainians to these satellites, these satellite images, so they can get real-time updates as to troop positions and things like that in the battlefield, and we cut them off. Like, we told Maxar, we're like, you're not allowed to share this with Ukraine anymore. They're like, oh, okay. And so they stopped sharing it. But suddenly, Russian attacks got way more precise than it had ever been before, and way more actionable to real time than they were before. Because Russian satellite tech is garbage. What they have up there, not very high definition, not very many satellites. It's the type of stuff that flies over once a day and isn't flying over 10 times a day, right? And so all of a sudden, Russian attacks got way quicker and way more precise than it had ever been before. And this led the open source people to be like, oh, Trump is giving them access to the Maxar system. Because that's the only thing that can explain this, is that they're getting U.S. intel now that the Ukrainians were having before. And that's where it came from. I can't remember which open source guys, but there's like 10 of them that are big deals over on Twitter and Blue Sky. And that's basically what they're saying. Kelly Reed, happy birthday, HW. Canada files to sell U.S. dollar bonds, size undisclosed. They hold like 200 billion of them, which is not, it makes me like that's about as much as the Federal Reserve has. So, yeah, it's a big deal, Kelly Reed. And Kelly Reed, what does your crystal ball see the coming months, MOAS, from crash, Trump being impeached, Elon assassination? The Republicans will never impeach Trump. If the Republicans do anything to Trump, it's going to be a 25th Amendment play where J.D. Vance will basically be like, you're done, son. He and the cabinet will remove Trump from office, and then JD will be president after that. I don't think the Republicans would ever impeach him, so that's not happening. Elon Musk getting assassinated, that number increases every day. He is surrounded by a whole bunch of security, and he does wear his child as a bulletproof shield. So if you're gonna kill Musk, you're probably annihilating that little kid too. But at this point, he's kind of going to grow up to be an asshole anyway. So, I hate to say it, but judging from the interactions he has with other people, kind of. So yeah, he's laying off a lot of people from the CIA, the FBI, NSA, DEA, like a lot of specialized people who are very experienced with weaponry, surveillance, intelligence, plots. I think he's making himself very vulnerable in that respect, which is why he's going to just surround himself with more and more babies. The whole reason Elon keeps having sons, these little tiny sons over and over with all these different women, is because eventually little X is going to get too big to be on his shoulder, so he needs the next model to put up there. Otherwise, he's going to start having back problems. He's in his 50s. He can't do this forever. So he's going to need smaller and smaller children to wear around his neck like a scarf to protect from sniper bullets. And I think that's his plan. He'll just keep IVFing more and more weird ladies and producing more sons, and then he'll drag them around as little human shields. So, yeah. Attaining Oneness says Elon will be murked by the military-industrial complex, calling it. Yeah, I mean, he and Trump have basically killed the ability of U.S. manufacturers to sell weapons overseas. That if people want NATO caliber weapons, they're going to be going to the Europeans to get them from this point forward. But people don't want to do business with America anymore. So we're gonna be like Russia selling our trash secondary weapons to despots across Africa, and that'll be that. We aren't gonna. Germany's not gonna buy our stuff. Greece isn't gonna buy our stuff. France isn't gonna buy our stuff. The UK is not gonna buy our stuff. Canada's not gonna buy our stuff. Mexico won't buy it. We're gonna be stuck with our little weapon systems, and all of our good engineers and scientists and geniuses are going to leave. So then we're going to be left with like the dim bulbs trying to do things that the smart people can do, and we'll just eat ourselves, basically. And you also asked about MOAS from crash. MOAS from crash is very possible. Talk about that just a second ago. The crash is going to keep coming. We've got, before all is said and done, I would say we probably bottom out below a 250 SPY. The SPY probably drops 60% or more on this one because we're just doing too much damage. It'd be one thing if like housing collapses and we go, oh shit, right? A couple of banks went down. We got to deal with this 5% contraction of the US economy. But we wiped out 10% of the US economy with our budget. We're wiping another 8 to 15% with undocumented immigrants. We're wiping out 5% with commercial loans, 5% with housing. We got who knows how much is going to happen from problems caused by tariffs, lost business overseas, inflation of products, and we got like bird flu, right? Laying off all sorts of government workers, so and canceling contracts arbitrarily that government contractors rely upon. So we're going to get layoffs from the private sector side of folks who contract with the government, plus the hundreds of thousands of people getting laid off from the government. The velocity of money is going to slow down in a hurry, and yeah, and then the MOAS comes because the entire market goes crunch, 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 and all these stupid little stocks go whee, and that's that. Connect the Dots Learning Lab. Hi, Berth Houston. What are some ways you stay sane? Taking the dog for walks. I'll do it. Cat videos. Before I go to bed, I watch compilation videos. They're like 5-second clips of like dude getting hit with the nuts, cat falling into a trash can, someone doing a scare prank on somebody, a llama slipping on ice. It's like 5 seconds for like 30 minutes of just ha 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 ha, and that gets my dopamine levels really high, and then I'm able to sleep like a baby, and that's my routine. So, aside from like getting my reading done, corresponding with way too many of you all day long, taking the dog for walks. Usually I some show I'll binge, like right now I'm watching Queen Latifah punch people in the face. Decent show. Yeah, so that, and then I got a great fantasy world I live in my head of the like woulda, coulda, shouldas, and what would I do if I had blah. So I spend enough time each day kind of perusing international real estate, going, if I can get my net worth to here, I could live there. What would my life be like if I was in Umbria or Barcelona or whatever? So I do a lot of that. So sometimes you gotta escape and go live in a fantasy world for a while because everything else is just such dog shit all around you. No offense, dog shit producer. Yeah, that's how I do it there. Connect the Dots Learning Lab. Like you can be anxious. You have like the anxiety about what's happening in the future, but you can't control that, right? Like I don't have any control over what Trump and Elon Musk do to the economy. I have no control over that. I think whatever they're doing is absolutely horrible. It's going to ruin lives. What I do have control over is how I respond to that. And how I'm responding to that right now is trying to make as much money off the collapse of this economy as I possibly can, so that I'm not up shit creek when it finally drops. I told all my friends and family, I told you guys, to get out of the markets. Like, sell your blue chips, do what Berkshire Hathaway is doing. You sell everything and you just sit on your cash and you wait, right? And I don't know if people actually listen to me, especially friends and family. Like, I told my parents, like, sell everything in your accounts. They're like, oh, come on. Like, no, really. Your retirement funds are going to vanish. You're going to have to take a job as a greeter at Walmart to make it through whatever recession or depression we got going on here. You want a blanket? That looks like a dog who wants a blanket. Is that what you wanted? Yeah? Is that what you wanted? Oh, rah. There you go. Okay, you didn't want a blanket. So, yeah, I mean, you take what proactive things you can. You shake your head and face palm yourself over the stupidity of others. And, what they say, anxiety is fear of the future. Depression is fear of the past. And I try as much as I can, if I'm going to think about the future, I try to at least do some sort of fantasy world in my head to balance out the reality of what the future could be like. So I'm like, oh, everything's going to go to shit. But if I do things right, then I'll have a good life. Right. And so that's how you do it. I don't know how other people balance that stuff. I have some super anxious friends, and I've never really been an anxious person, and I don't understand their anxiety. Like, sometimes people's anxiety is so rooted in this, I don't want to call it narcissism, but in, like, they firmly believe people think about them way more than anyone actually does. You know what I mean? It's like they're anxious, like, oh, if I go there and I'm wearing the wrong shirt, people will notice. Like, no one gives a shit because no one cares about you that much. You should be focused more on the depression side of this than the anxiety side of this, because people don't actually care about you that much. That's what you should be dwelling on, is that they don't actually care. So there's no reason to be scared of leaving your house, afraid of the impression you're going to make. No one actually cares about you that much. So just might as well leave your house and do your shopping and do all that stuff. Then the depression side of people, they're so rooted in stuff that happened in the past that people don't care enough about, right? I said that wrong thing in 5th grade, and now that's all I can think about, right? No one else remembers. Matter of fact, most people don't remember shit. Most people have really, 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 really terrible memories. I told you about the marshmallow incident, right? Where these girls, my sophomore year of high school, when I was class president, decided to turn the homecoming skit into a 100,000 marshmallow fight in the gym. And I got in trouble for it. And then we got to our 20th high school reunion, and that came up. And I was like, oh yeah, the marshmallow incident. And everyone's like, the marshmallow what? It's like, yeah, when you idiots threw tens of thousands of marshmallows at everybody, like, we never did that. And then I found the picture in the yearbook of them, like, mid marshmallow throw. Because people just don't remember things. Especially if a lot of people don't remember the trauma they cause others. They don't remember the trauma they experience, but they don't remember what they did to other people. They have it just goes right over them. Like, my roommate and I were discussing, like, big cities, in New York, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, and the, like, hammering brutality of the flip into rage that people in these big cities can have, and how it's the exact opposite of, like, Pacific Northwest. People in the Pacific Northwest, they can take a lot of shit and a lot of shit and a lot of shit, and they just go, whatever, right? It does build up. They do bottle it up, and it comes out in a rage at some point. But in, like, New York, Boston, Chicago, there's a popping off that happens that does not happen out here. They get your order wrong at the sandwich deli. You are screaming and yelling at everyone, and then you leave, and you have no memory 30 seconds later of ever doing that. Here, if you were to scream and yell at somebody, they would talk about it for months. So it's a different mindset. I'm much more Pacific Northwesterner in my head than I am like a neurotic, Brooklyn person would be. So, yeah. Attaining oneness. Sometimes the best snowball isn't a snowball at all. It's fear. Yeah. Elon and his ketamine use. Speaking of Elon being worked by the military-industrial complex, Elon is doing enough ketamine right now that he's kind of getting into this weird self-delusion territory where he can have ketamine-induced clinical depression. So ketamine's used to like pull people out of a deep depression. If you're like bipolar and you're in an absolute depressive episode, you get a shot of ketamine and you're like, oh my gosh, everything's so clear now. I'm so sorry I was like that. But if you use it too much and you're doing it recreationally, which is he's basically addicted to it at this point. It's several times a day, I believe he's using ketamine. He can actually break his brain, go into psychosis, and so. And he's very susceptible to public image. Like when Dave Chappelle brought Elon onto stage at one of his concerts and everyone booed him, they called the San Francisco Police Department for a welfare check because he was refusing to leave his office at Twitter because he was spiraling because he got out there and realized everybody hated his fucking guts. And before that, he thought he was just like this golden child god king who could do no wrong because whatever came out of my mind was genius. It's not. It's a lot of dumb shit. The only reason people tell him it's great is because they're paid to. He's surrounded by a whole bunch of yes men. And when he becomes more aware of how much he is loathed and hated, he's going to internalize that with a bunch of ketamine messing with his neurons, and the problem may take care of itself at that point. That's the way it works. Don't do ketamine, kids. Okay. Oh shoot, there's a reset of the chat. Where am I? Where was I? We were Peachy Sunday, Houston. Bought Tesla puts today, but lost money. Hopefully it pays out. Always, it's illegal to not buy Tesla now. Anyways, it's illegal. Yeah, Tesla had a little bit of green day. Not super huge, but it's going to keep going down. It's, especially when we get to the Q1 reporting, and it shows just how much sales have gone down for Tesla. But that's not for another couple of months. But yeah, it's a toxic brand. Over on Wall Street Bets, people are talking about, well, Tesla's going to make, cyborgs and humanoid robots. And like, the people are lighting Teslas on fire right now and throwing Molotov cocktails into the dealerships. Do you think Tesla robots walking around aren't going to get kicked into a ditch and smashed with a F-150? Like, they're just going to be even bigger targets, and they're going to get destroyed en masse. And the people who do buy them are going to be ridiculed mercilessly for it. And then everyone else will be like, I'm not touching that. So you can dream big that in the future there's going to be these AI robots that Elon makes. His robots are garbage. His AI is shit. When he unveiled the robots, they were just remote controlled and had some guy in like Burbank talking into a microphone, pretending like it was AI. It's smoke and mirrors, man. That's all it is. So put me in the Tesla Q department. Louis is throwing some stickers up there. Legacy Productions, Houston. Would an acquisition announcement of an acquisition really do anything for price action, or do they have enough ammunition to keep it in the 20s? Does any news do anything anymore? Or just constant manipulated fake price action? I think what you're referring to is if GME were to announce, hey, we acquired a company, say the shell of Bed Bath & Beyond, right? Would that cause price action? It depends on how the deal works, right? Let's say, and you got to imagine like, evil villain mastermind, right? I want to screw over the shorts. What can I do? You can do things like do debt for equity for the bondholders. Give equity to the original holders of the shares. And you can do something like warrants, where you can purchase for a penny a warrant for each share you have. So if you got 10,000 shares, for $100, you can buy 10,000 warrants. And those warrants allow you to purchase a share of the new shell company, or say GME, right? Let's say you got your equity back at Bed Bath & Beyond, and they give you a warrant for GME. And that warrant, you paid a penny for it, right? And it's to buy shares of GME at $15. So each one of those warrants is now worth $8 to $10, depending on the price. And now everyone who is short on Bed Bath & Beyond, to the tune of perhaps 1 billion shares, is going to have to go into the market and buy those warrants to make good on all the shares they were naked on. They have to buy 1 billion of those warrants, right? And there's only like 100 million. So you can cause a squeeze on everything, because if you can't get the warrants, you have to get the share, right? And so all of a sudden, those warrants, which you allow you to buy a share at $15, if the stock's at 25, the stock might go to 100, which makes the warrants worth $85, right? And then there could be a squeeze on the warrants. It's pretty remarkable how that can happen. And that's a little bit of what happened with Hertz. Was they gave the warrants to everybody who had the shares of Hertz. They picked the warrants up for a penny, and the warrants allowed them to buy the stock at $13, but eventually the stock went to like $43. So the warrants themselves were worth $30, and that was where the squeeze came from. That's how a lot of those guys got rich. So yeah, it can happen. It can happen, right? Look at the little nose. Look at that little nose right there. Oh, there's a little dog nose. Yes. Wrapped up in her little blankie. Can't quite see the nose in the monkey cam. Let's get over. There's the nose. There it is. Boopity, 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 boop. Different Lime, Houston. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, is angling to be the federal head of his party. And to do that, he wants to be seen as the defender of Canada, so he likely won't want to give any ground. Yep. I saw a remarkable stat, or a chart, of Canadian politics. Canada's got multiple parties. They've got the Conservatives, they got the Labour Party, and there's like Greens and some others. And oftentimes, a Labour win means forming a coalition with those other parties down here at the bottom. And it was showing the graph over time, Conservatives up top, Labour at bottom, Conservative, blah, 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 blah. Trump's inauguration, like people who were like, right wing, brah! They saw what Trump did to America, and it took like 6 days for them to be like, I don't want that. Justin Trudeau forever. And now Canada has as their prime minister a very popular, very smart economist. Did you see his interview on The Daily Show from a couple months ago? Is it Mark with a K? Mark Carney. Oh shoot, I forgot to put Daily Show in there. Yeah, Mark Carney was on the Daily Show, was it like 6 weeks ago? When was that? That was Mark Carney, Prime Minister. It was back in January, so it was like 2 months ago. Yeah. So, and like, John Stewart was like, do you want to be the next PM? He was kind of like, I am going to be the next PM. Without quite so saying it. But he's a World Bank economist. He is an incredibly smart monetary philosopher. And that's who you're going to want to lead through a really, really weird situation with your largest trading partner. I think at this point, the way the polls are showing it, that Ford might become the leader of the Conservatives and make a push to become prime minister. But if an election were held today, I don't think he stands a chance. But yeah, no, Ford can't give any ground. Even conservatives will put Canada first over whatever weird, Trump-ish MAGA type mindset that some of those Canadians may have, is that they're so horrified at being spurned by their neighbor and closest trading partner that they want nothing to do with us now. And so anyone who's seen as acquiescing to demands from Washington, D.C., from Trump is going to be like persona non grata in Canada. There's Canadian businesses who won't even take American cash anymore. It's like, no, we don't want your American dollars. Fuck off. I'm going to have to, like, if I go to Canada to go skiing, I'm going to have to, like, wear a Canadian patch on my jacket or something. I got my Truck Fump t-shirt, so that I can wear that. Charles Bronson, is BBBY in RICO mode or what? Houston, how do you really feel about the BBBY CFO committing suicide after all his time has passed? Did he know how this was going to end? Thoughts? RICO, yes. I do think that there's enough evidence in the lawsuit against the board showing that they were in illegal collusion with JP Morgan to basically destroy shareholder value. And that right there is enough of a crime that if anyone wanted to at the FBI, they could probably charge them. And shareholders could probably win a RICO case in a civil suit against them for that. Arnold's suicide. I don't know if it was suicide. Defenestration is very popular in the Eastern Bloc. Gustavo appeared like, if you're suicidal, oftentimes you aren't like making future plans. You aren't like, I'm going to take this vacation. I've got dinner reservations this night, right? Like they're not thinking about the future because all they're thinking about is ending it all, right? And he seemed to have enough lined up on his plate that he was thinking of the future. Whether it was a sudden thing like, oh no, I can't go on, that's a different story. I know there's people like, he never killed himself, he's in witness protection and blah blah. I think the dude's dead. I don't think they faked him jumping out of the 17th floor of a building and going splat on the ground. But as to his motivations, I think he knew some of those agreements that they had with JP Morgan were probably criminal, but I can't attest to whether he cared or not about that. So regardless, he's dead and his estate's going to be paying a fortune for what he did in his role as CFO. So, yeah. Olga, when will Ron be on the show? I need to ask Ron. I need to talk to him about that. I was hoping around this time of year. So, I need to send a message. I'll reach out. Since year 206, is MOAS dead or closer than ever? I don't think it's dead. I do think it's closer, but not closer than ever. I think what happens is we run up on MOAS, we go, yes, and MOAS goes, ah, and then we run up on it, and it's, ah. And right now, we're doing a run up on it. Whether it's going to run away from us or not, that remains to be seen. So, in the distance we can be from between us and MOAS, we're coming up pretty hard right now. If the market continues to collapse, and it's going to have to collapse at rates faster than it currently is. We're like more days like Monday where the SPY is dropping 20, 30 points. A lot more of those in the future. We got to look at some banks blowing up, regional banks, major banks. Probably a couple of those have to happen for it to really truly set in that the black swan events are taking place. So, we're coming up on it. We just aren't there yet. And that, who knows what Deus Ex Machina is going to come in and save the day for them, if any, and allow them to like run away and have their execution spared. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Monkey butt, you're a tube dog. Everybody, it's time for me to run away. I'll be doing a show at some point tomorrow. I'm taking my car into the shop. I accidentally pulled up on a curb. I'm so used to driving trucks. When I drive these sporty little cars, I pull forward, a little too forward, and the ground skirt got up on a curb. Oh no, and I pulled backwards, and it broke the stupid bumper holder thing around the passenger side tail light. So like bumper's been like dragging ass. So I'm getting that fixed tomorrow, and early in the morning. So I don't know how long I'll be hanging out, but there will be a show tomorrow at some point, and I will see you then. Right? So, yay! Right, monkey? Right, tube dog? She agrees. She's like, yeah, totally. Okay, everyone. Hopefully I get to your questions tomorrow. So bye-bye.